Welcome to STEM 2.8 Free Trade and Protection. So we're looking at the dot point of Australia's multilateral and bilateral free trade agreements. More specifically, we're looking at an overview of two examples of each. So remember that a bilateral trade agreement is agreement between two countries, and the multilateral is between three or more countries. The first Australian multilateral free trade agreement that we're going to look at is the ASEAN-Australia-New Zealand Free Trade Agreement. This was signed off quite recently. It equates to in this trade agreement, this area alone is $4.1 trillion US dollars. So it's a big trade agreement. It's probably the biggest free trade agreement that we've signed with anybody over the recent years, and probably accounts for more than China even as well. So some benefits of the ASEAN Free Trade Agreement. So Australia and New Zealand negotiated together with the ASEAN countries. The ASEAN had a free trade agreement, it was just the ASEAN agreement, and Australia and New Zealand came together and said that we'll negotiate and became a member of this free trade agreement. So it's just a wide range of factors. So it's the first it is the first free trade agreement since the global financial crisis. It's an important agreement for Australia. Trade with Asian countries. So in 2008 was $112 billion, accounting for 20% of Australia's total trade. That's why it's such a big trade agreement for Australia. Recent data has shown that it's about the same again in 2013-14 as well. It's a two-way trade partner, faster than Australia's trade with any of the top commercial partners except for China. So China still is one of the biggest our trading partners. However, ASEAN countries provide a large sector of that as well. Moving on to our second free trade agreement, or multilateral free trade agreement. It's quite a recent one, Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement. So this one isn't enacted yet, but the negotiations are completed and will soon be enacted, hopefully. So it's an agreement between Australia, Brunei, Canada, Chile, Japan, Malaysia, Mexico, Peru, New Zealand, Singapore, and United States and Vietnam. These negotiations successfully concluded on the 6th of October. It's a regional free trade agreement, unprecedented scope, so it's quite a large free trade agreement. The only countries that we don't see in there is China, but this should take up a vast majority of those ones. Hopefully China does come on board with it. So looking at the benefits of it is that it opens substantial new trade investment opportunities for Australia, promote job creation growth, further the integration of our economies, and facilitate regional supply chains. For Australian exporters, is that we're looking at will eliminate more than 98% of tariffs in the TPP region. So that's a large percentage of our tariffs we've gone on our exports. Tariffs on $9 billion worth of Australia's dutiable exports to those countries in that agreement will be eliminated, and that's a significant amount of money that's going to be coming Australia's way. So let's move on to the first of our bilateral free trade agreements. That's our CERTA agreement. So the Australia-New Zealand Closer Economic Relations Trade Agreement. It's been one of our first free trade agreements that was signed in the 80s. Now basically it's with New Zealand. It's all tariffs and quantities, imports of exports, restrictions on trade in goods and orientated. So there is almost no tariffs between the two countries, minimising market distortions and trans-Tasman food standards. So the agreement is that we have a common food stand with New Zealand, which is really important as well, so we can trade between the two countries our foodstuffs. And our last bilateral free trade agreement is one with Australia and the US. 2/3 of agricultural tariffs, including the imported commodities such as lamb, sheep, meat, and horticultural goods, were eliminated immediately when this happened, and then 9% tariffs were cut to zero in 2008. There's a wide range of the benefits of having a free trade agreement with the US. It's one of our biggest trading partners, apart from China and Japan, but it's a really important one. So if we look at the manufacturing side of things, duties on more than 97% of US non-agricultural lines, such as textiles and clothing, became duty free on day one of the agreement. So we can see a large benefit on that as well.